Hi, friends. This is Caroline from Carousel, and welcome. So, today we're talking about my encounter with God, um, which is interesting. So, I haven't really shared this publicly, and it's just interesting. So, I'll share my encounter with God and my encounter with the darkness and Lucifer, which all three, and of course, like talk to other dark things and other light things, and Archangel Gabriel, and but God and the darkness, those were two very potent experiences. So my first, not first, of course, I've always had that feeling of that connection, that sense of oneness when I'm out in nature. That has always felt like the place where I felt connected. Even when I was exploring the different religions, looking for truth when I was young, it was always nature. I was always just intuitively or innately, I was like the little monk on the mountain. I had space outside where I could be outside. And so even at 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, I was going outside to think and to contemplate and to do, unknowingly at the time, meditations and to process my emotions, and to just be there and be one. But I was raised in a very intuitive environment. My gifts were always supported, and my gifts were supported. I was raised in an intuitive family, so I was kind of raised like a little priestess. Like I was given little tasks and asked to forecast events, and given cards at a young age, and given tools, and connected with healers and teachers always. So I was raised always with this positive environment. So my intuition and this being part of my identity has always been part of my identity, but it was always behind the scenes. It was always something I did. It was always like the majority of my life, but not something I shared with almost anybody except for outside of my family or people that we knew through these other units or organizations or communities. And when I was in college, I was going through. I was at the beginning of the downhill. I was at the beginning. I didn't know at the time, of course, but I was at the beginning of going towards rock bottom. I was dealing with a lot of anxiety and depression, like a lot more than ever. And I've always been a channel, so I've always been able to communicate with my guidance system. I've always been able to receive messages, always. I mean, even sitting in class, writing notes, like instead of listening, sometimes I would just be channeling. So it's always been there. So to me, it was irrefutable. I could not deny the existence of my guidance system because they've always been there. They've always been there. Like capital T, they have always been there. But I was going through such a dark period in my life. I was so depressed. I was so anxious and I was so angry. I was so angry at all of the things that I had been through that I hadn't worked through. And this was pre-majority of my healing, the vast majority of my healing. And I guess I was probably 19 years old, I remember declaring, I believe in my angels and my guides because I can talk to them, but I don't believe in God anymore. And like for anybody that does this work is like, okay, how is that even possible? But yeah, at 19 years old, when I was angry and mad at God, basically for what I had experienced in my life, for the pain that I had had in my early childhood and my early life, and then, carried through these stories and these threads of pain and suffering throughout my life. And I just was like, I don't believe, because I've never seen like whatever doesn't exist. Like I believe my angels and guides. Like I don't know how this shit works, but I know that they're there. And so I don't know how long it took, but it wasn't very long after. At most it was a week, at the least it was like a couple of days or less. But I remember sitting in my room, my dorm room, and I remember sitting at my desk, and I don't know if I had sat down to study or if I had sat down to channel. I can't remember, but I remember I had a notebook in my hand. Um, and I had this feeling, just this. I mean, I could see, like, I could feel see, like the way you say see, but when you really, for me at least, the way that it comes through in visual is I'm looking at you and I can also imagine something in my mind, but there's a place between the two. So I can see you, I can see the camera, I can see the TV setup, like I can see that visually with my eyes, but I can also imagine something separate back here. So I can be thinking about something differently and see it in my mind's eye, and the clear visual, I guess, is somewhere between the two. And so in that somewhere between the two, I felt this just pink light come down over the top of my head, and it filled me up so much I had to stand up and open my chest, and I couldn't. It felt like my heels were coming off the ground. It felt like I was floating. And I heard this, you don't have to believe in me, but I believe in you. And the pink light, like, it just filled me completely up, so much full. I thought I was going to explode. I felt like I would explode, that I would rip open from how much love was in that feeling. And then the pink, like, pulled back and, like, went back up, and even still to this day. And so that's what God or source or creator is. It's the unity of all that is. It is the unity of all that is. And when I've been speaking to the darkness lately, as it's been coming to me, that's the way I've been explaining it. And so God, source, energy, God, I know God is emotionally charged for some people because of the way certain religious groups have abused the idea of God. And it's not some man with a beard sitting on a cloud. And it's funny because I remember relaying this to my mom after, and being like, God is like, it feels like a woman. Like, it's neither male or female. It is the combination of the two. So it's the unity of all. But if you were to pick, it would feel more feminine, just in the sense that it has that such strong nurturing, that creator energy, just that deep, like, I love you. Just like all love, there is nothing but love, of connection, of unity, of wholeness. And so it's that is what we are going back to. So that is what we're going back to. The thing about the darkness, the thing about the things that are operating in the shadows, the dark pulses that are attempting to prolong their dominion over the 3D world, which is what we are experiencing now. The difference is they believe that they are separate from unity, that they can almost like control the rules of nature and the way things are. They feel they can circumvent, they feel they can, like, sidestep or bypass the universal laws, that they are separate, they are not of source energy. And I don't even know if they recognize that connection at all, or if they've completely disowned it. But it is in that separation from source that darkness grows. In the same way that it is in our separation within ourselves. In the video, I talk about how self-judgment affects your energy. It is in that separation from ourselves, when we judge ourselves, when we reject certain aspects of ourselves, that darkness within us grows as well. So it is the same thing, just on the macrocosm. Everything that exists within you, everything, like, you are a microcosm of the macrocosm. You are a grain of sand, and what is happening in that grain of sand is what's happening on the beach. Like, you are the tree in the forest. Everything that's happening within that tree is happening within the forest. So everything that happens within you is reflected outside of you, and vice versa. But what you interpret as your individual world is everything that's happening inside of you. So you are a microcosm to the macrocosm. So this is why I think the two greatest teachers you can have for self-mastery is, one, I mean, studying yourself, doing the inner exploration work for sure. And then two, if you're not comfortable doing that with yourself, you just watch nature. You tend to plants, you spend time outside. Like nature will teach you all of those truths, those universal laws are there, unbended, so to speak. Unaffected yet. So, and then the darkness, and I've had different encounters with the darkness because I'm an alchemist. So I'm here to just to anchor in the energy for New Earth. I'm here to be that light. And so anything that is not of that light that comes into my presence, I alchemize. It's just my natural, I just sit here and do that. Like that's just my natural radiation state, so to speak. Like that's just what I'm here to do. Other people have other missions, but that's mine. So, and also, as I've explained to my clients before, sometimes as you evolve, as you become more aware and involved in the light, you also become more visible to the darkness sometimes, just because the stronger your light gets, the more apparent it is to the darkness that you exist. So not too long ago, I had the darkness, like the actual darkness come to me. And I went into a meditation, and it completely, I was going in for something else, I was going in to do some other work, or I don't even know if I had a thing. I was just going in. And so I was going under to meditate, and the darkness came, and it almost looked like a smoke cloud, like an octopus shaped smoke cloud without a head. Like it had all these tentacles and like, and just like, and like black, do you remember Fern Gully? And there was that smoke monster, like it looks like that, and it feels just like yucky. And not the cool thing. It took me off guard. I wasn't prepared for that encounter, but I also was not, shaken, because I've done this within myself already. Like I've already integrated my shadow. So, I'm not as vulnerable, let's say, as someone that is still very fragmented. So of course I still have my stuff because I'm a human, you know what I mean? But there's different, the big stuff, I've done a lot of that. So a lot of it has been integrated in, and of course, when it comes up, I still continue to integrate, I think is the difference, rather than, not that there's none, just that the integration process is ongoing, rather than, compared to never have been started, or, start, stop. So the darkness came, and what it said was, I own you. And I was like, yeah, right. I was like, yeah, right. I was like, fuck you, do. And it was like, I own you. And it was just like, blah. And I was like, I'm going to take everything. And I was like, no. No, it was like completely, and once again, completely unfazed, because it's like, who do you think you are? And then I give this to you because apparently you can use this. Like I mentioned, darkness believes that it is separate from source. So it is that acknowledgement of that pillar of light within yourself, that you are of source. That's what changes things. So as the darkness was telling me, I own you, and it's like tentacles were starting to trying to, and I said, no, fuck no, you don't. And then it started to say some other stuff. And then I was like, no. I was like, no, absolutely not. I am connected to the unity of all that is. It's like, I am of God's source energy, and you have forgotten that you are of God's source energy. And then it started to kind of be like, what the fuck? And I was like, no, I was like, the light that is within me, I was like, you also have that same light. And as this pillar of light within me came down and started radiating out, it was almost like the tentacles that were coming out, they started dissolving at the edges. And as I started acknowledging and owning that I am of source creator light, that I am of the love and light, and the light that is within me, I have more power than it, because I am connected to all that is, because I am connected to what I am. And I don't believe I'm separate. And so, and in that acknowledgement, that is what started to dissipate the darkness. And so then it started to dissolve and disappear, and then it got like all like and like screamy, and then it was like, I'll be back, and I was like, okay, and I'll be stronger when you do, and then it like ran away. So that was that. And then not too long later, Lucifer came to me, which was, I mean, he's very like like vampiric, but like the way vampires are portrayed now, as in like all sultry and just like that poised, like, and he tricked me. He trapped me with like this crystal museum, and like that totally drew me in and caught me off guard. And he was like, oh, I thought this would draw you in. Like, that's what he said. So I was like, who are you? And he goes, I'm Lucifer, the god of false light. And I was like, and then he was like, oh, good. I thought the crystals would draw you in. And so that took me off guard more, because I didn't realize I had fallen into a trap, basically. So that shook me a little bit. And then I was able to recompose, and then the same situation where calling in the pillar of light, acknowledging the unity that all that I am connected to, the unity that all, the unity that all, the unity of all, the unity of all that is. And it's Mercury retrograde. I'm a Gemini, please. Thank you. Thank you so much for being patient with me. And so through that acknowledgement, he once again started dissipating, and it was almost like he dropped me like a hot potato, like as soon as I started doing that, because he was like, oh, fuck. So moral of the story, like the God energy, the source energy, the unified energy feels, I mean, it's like, I will get emotional just thinking about it again, just like what that feels like. And I've seen so much more confirmation of like what the real God source energy feels like. And the darkness feels, it feels dark, but right now it feels scared. I mean, it's that wounded, like almost similar, not exactly, but it's like that wounded masculine that feels like it has to dominate. Like when you feel as if you are weak, you will overly compensate with like, look how strong I am, look how tough I am, with these over the top statements of showing and declaring how you are. And the thing is this is the perfect example, and I love to explain this to people, is like, you don't talk about being something that you are. So when you are generous, you don't talk about how generous you are. When you are, when you've always been a surfer, you don't talk about what a good surfer you are. Like when you've always done something, or when you just are that way, you don't talk about being that way. Like when you are an athlete, you don't talk about being an athlete. And so in the same way, God, unity source, doesn't do this show. It doesn't talk about being all powerful. It doesn't talk about like, look how strong and tough I am. Like no. And it doesn't force you to believe in it. It doesn't bring you in. There's nothing like that. What it is it knows it's that thing. So it doesn't have to talk about it, versus the darkness knows that it doesn't have, that true strength, because it isn't unified. It is separate from source. So in that, knowing that they're disconnected, knowing that they're missing that integral piece, it's like they're trying to prove that they are that thing. You know what I mean? They have to talk about being so powerful. They have to talk about being so good. They have to talk about all of these benefits, because they aren't, because those things aren't there. So I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does. But you don't have to talk about being something that you are, because you are those things. So your ego doesn't feel like you have to prove it. So that's the thing. And yeah, this, I just wanted to give you that, almost like the dichotomy, like the comparison of the two, and like what it feels like, and those experiences are available for everybody. You have had moments where you felt, I have this light this is not the normal time of day I record. You have those moments where you feel connected, where you feel oneness, where you feel the magic of life, of all that is, the unity of all that is. You feel the flow. You see how this is all one big thing, that all the energy that is in the phone, that's in the walls, that's in this, that's in that, it's all one thing, and it's all vibrating and buzzing at the same time. And like, you feel that. There's moments where you have that connection when you're just doing whatever, just being present. So that's available to you, and you can call that in, and you can open yourself up to those positive experiences. I do not recommend dancing with the darkness until you've done a lot of heavy integration work, because once again, like I said, like that separation within yourself exists when you don't have those other parts of yourself integrated, when you haven't gone into full acceptance and unity. So to embrace and know that you are connected to the unity of all that is, you have to embody the unity within yourself. So your microcosm is an example of your macrocosm. So yeah, that's my experience with God, with the source, the unity that all there is, and my experience with the darkness and Lucifer. So interesting stuff. And I thank you for joining me. I hope I will see you for my peace project, the 40 Days of Peace Gathering for Planet Peace, starting Thursday, October 22nd. Live meditations daily here on my YouTube channel. So thank you so much. Once again, this is Caroline from Carousel. Thank you for dealing with my light changingness, although it's kind of cool. This looks like a filter, but this is like what real life filters are. Oh yeah, look right on the eyes. Yeah. Anyways, thank you so much. I will be with you so soon, and enjoy the rest of your day.